So I managed to lacquer all of the carriers last night. That's why you've seen me putting all the new boots on and re-greasing up all of the slider pins with the new grease to go in there. The calipers themselves, now they've got the decals on, they're now hung up outside drying after 3 coats of lacquer as well. Believe it or not, the red was tacky still this morning, and these clear coated ones were dry last night, so the clear coat is obviously fast drying compared to the red. What I should have done was put the clear coat on like one layer on the calipers, then used it because it's got a gloss surface. Then I could have put the decals on then and it'd have stuck better, but learn from your mistakes. It's got 3 coats now on top, so hopefully that'll keep them in place. Whilst they're doing that, I'm going to make the use of the time I've got whilst they're drying and put some Max Coat wheel guard on these carriers. It's a Chemical Guys product. It's basically like a really strong wax or sealant, actually, whatever you want to call it. You put it on quite thinly. Oh, I've got wax all over my floor. Brilliant. Right, I've mixed that up now. So that's ready to use. You're meant to use an applicator pad, but I'm just going to use the edge of a microfiber towel. Apply it on very thinly. You shouldn't see green everywhere once you've applied it. Leave it for 15 minutes and then you just buff it off once you're done. So I'm just trying to use my time wisely whilst the car's jacked up at the rear. I'm going to put the carriers back on, ready for when the calipers are ready to go on as well. I'm also going to use my trusty torque wrench for the bolts because I wanted to make sure that all the bolts putting this back together are torqued correctly. I literally searched it on Google, forum come up already, somebody stating all the torque figures. It's as easy as that. One thing I will show you as well, if you're a little bit conscious about your brake fluid or your brake pipes being exposed for a couple of days, I put a little food bag around it. I had to rip it open when I had to connect them all back up to pump the pistons out, but I put a food bag around it and then no air or moisture is getting into the lines, and it's collected all the loose brake fluid that we're just going to keep dripping everywhere. So I just popped a little tie wrap around it, behind it, just around it, not very tight, but just enough to keep it there. So that's a tip if you want to do something like that. Maybe you don't even have to. Maybe I'm just being pedantic. Either way. If you're wondering, these are 55 Newton meters, I think. I've also put the retaining clips back in after a good clean, and the pads back in as well. Copper grease in them 2 areas and on the back of the pads, so that the contact point where it touches the calipers it won't seize on. And another tip, file down the little nibs on the end of the pad, because obviously you've got extra layers of paint on the carriers which is going to make it a tighter squeeze. So file them down, or even if you want to start up a still saw under that instead. Get a wire brush and brush out where them points are on the paint before you put the clips in. But either or, you'll need to make space. Right, so as you can see from the bits of red, the paint is still a little bit soft when it's in contact with something, which is going to be hard to avoid. There's already a little bit of fingerprints and paint creases from stress holding it and things like that, which we're not going to be able to avoid, but it is what it is because they need to be on. So what I'm going to do in the meantime, whilst they're drying a little bit more, I'm going to be swapping these gubbins, whatever they are, that's come from inside the rear pistons, put them in the fresh ones. Now this is the kit that I've got for the rear calipers. It's from a company called Big Red. I've heard a few people mention it since I've bought it actually. Plenty of stuff that it comes with. Comes with some silicone grease, which I'm guessing with the jelly looking stuff that was inside the old piston, I'm guessing that's this kind of stuff. So I'm going to put this inside with this to make sure all the bearings and things are lubricated. I use a different grease when I did the hangers, but I'll come on to that because that came with the other kit. But you've got your dust boots, O-rings, bleed caps, covers, there's loads in here. But the thing that we need to concentrate on at the minute is the piston. So the new one doesn't have anything inside it, like I said. So if we just remove this packaging that is slightly greased already, it seems. I'll make sure that this is clear. Paper's probably not the best thing I should be doing this on, but I'm here now. Get the other one out as well. I'll do my best to remember, guys, but I'll try and link near enough as much as I can remember that I've used in this video in the description for you to go and have a look at. I don't think the decals are listed on eBay anymore, but it's worth going and having a look. So first things first, I'm going to wipe down the other stuff that's in here with a rag and get all that old grease off there. So there's two like angled rubber washers that's going to go around the bottom of these as well, if I remember correctly. Just tear some of this off. Right, so I'm going to put these ones in first. Get plenty of that silicone lubricant grease in there. I'll do the same with the other one to get it ready. If I remember correctly, it faced down. The bigger part of it is at the top. Going to be easy to put on, but we'll try. I've heard the dust covers on the calipers are the worst bit, so we'll see what we can do there. There we go, that's that on. And that just sits snugly on that then. The other kit for the front comes with like a red grease, which is a rubber specific grease. So I might use that on some parts of this, like when we put the dust boot on. But for now, all this internal section, I'm just going to use the grease that came with it. I'm so nervous doing this, you know. Who would have thought it? And that's on upside down. Thought too soon, didn't I? Right, so now I'm going to just grease up each section before I put it on. And then I'm just going to grease up the whole thing itself and put some inside the piston. Okay. Drop that in. If I can pick it up. Oh, already dropped it in. There you go. Then it just like seats in like a spark plug would. Move up the retaining clip. Pop that in. Can. I'm guessing this is going to be even harder than taking it out. That didn't work. Oh god, right, I got them both in. It's kind of a two tool kind of job where you'll need one to kind of spring load it compressed, and you'll need another tool to push it down into place so it can release and be in the little groove that it sits in. But we got there in the end. So I've lubricated inside those splines as well, ready for the caliper. I suppose now it's time for the scary bit of actually putting them in. So let's start with the O-rings that go on the inside that stops the fluid from coming through. Now I'm using the rubber grease from the other kit for this one. I don't really want to turn these upside down because it's just going to get all the top red all over the paper. Oh well. Right, let's do it this way around. Pop a bit of red, should I say pink really, on the inside where that's going to sit, and some on the ring itself. This also helps create an airtight seal as well as lubricate on the piston. The last thing you want is the rubber to tear as the piston's moving in and out. I'm going to have to turn it upside down, there's no way I can do it holding it like that. Oh well, you'll only be able to see imperfections close up. I need the screwdriver again. There we go. That's the O-ring in. That's the seal, should I say. Okay, so now for the actual piston and the dust boot, which I'm also going to cover in the grease because that's going to help it slip over the piston, and it also helps preserve the rubber boot as well. Also going to put a dab more where it seats. Okay, so that's the boot all lubricated. I'm not going to try and seat that without the piston first. I'm going to put it over the piston to the end, which I'm also going to grease up, and then try my best slip it over the top so that the front rim sits in there. I think that's in correctly. Yeah, must be. Now this other piece I'm gonna have to somehow seat in. I don't know how well this is gonna work. Find out, won't we? Well, the piston might have to coil in, so we'll see how easy that is. Not very easy by hand. I'm gonna have to get the kit on it. It's alright, don't need a wind back tool. I've cracked it. Just like that, eh? It's one way of doing it. You'd probably need a wind back tool if it were full of fluid and you were putting new pads in, just to let you know. I'm meant to be pushing in at the same time. Okay, so new plan. I'm going to put the boot in first because there's no way I was squeezing that around that piston. It can't be in already, surely. It's in place. Okay, so the piston there, I'm going to have to wind it on and then try and get the piston back, try and get the boot back. What a nightmare. Grease all over this caliper. Oh Oh my word. Right, third time, lucky, new plan. You have to put the boot on the wrong, not the wrong way around, but on the wrong end. So the bit that goes into this neck here is stretched over the bottom, and then the rest of the boot is hanging off. Then you can put it near it, feed it into its groove, and then push the piston through and then coil it on. Because if you try and push it through, the restriction of this rubber won't let you get it onto the coil at all, onto the thread. And now it is, now it's holding on, and it should, yeah, go in. So we'll keep doing this until the rubber dust boot falls onto the neck of the piston. I honestly thought I weren't going to be able to do that. I thought I was going to have to phone my dad. I know you all like watching my dad coming and doing stuff, but as well, I like being able to do it myself, like so. Chuffed with that. Now let's wipe grease off a rested caliper. So all that's left is this little O-ring where I don't actually know where that goes, but I've not taken that out, so I'm alright with that. And this section here, which looks to me is that it goes behind that lever there, but we haven't taken that off either, and I'm happy to leave that, so we'll keep them just in case of spares for future reference. Okay, so in the Tegiwa kit you get the dust boot, the O-ring. You actually get two spare washers there that go on either side of the brake line where the banjo bolt goes through into the caliper, and you get these three greases, which we've been using the red one already on the rubber. I used the other orange one already to for the slider pins. Oh, and you also get the rubber dust covers for the sliders as well. And there's this other silicone grease, which I'm not sure when I'm going to use that. Maybe not even use it. But yeah, you get one just in case if you know what that one's for. A lot of kits like the other one only comes with one. So okay, so let's crack on with the O-ring first. Same as the other one. A lot of it is like the other one, and we don't have to screw this back in, which I'm grateful for. This video is going to be so long, it's unreal. Sorry if it ends up in two parts. I just go into too much detail. The O-ring in. Right, so straight to the piston now. I'm going to try the same method of attack as the previous one, so let's see how far we get. I'm also going to lubricate inside where the piston sits as well. Maybe that's what the silicone one was for, but I don't see why I should put the red grease all over the rubbers that the piston's going to pass through, and then have silicone grease in here, so they're just going to mix. Might as well just use the same one, and it be the one that looks after the rubber. Okay, so that's everything lubricated. Don't want to speak too soon, but I think we've cracked this method. Now this one will be a bit harder because where the rubber boot sits was a lot more corroded. Let's just have a good look at it before we carry on. This is hard. Let's just try seating it first so I can see what it looks like. I think I'm just looking even more homeless as the days go on. It's day 5 of making this video. So the gap for those rubber boots to go back in, being fresh rubber and old corroded gaps to go in, would not go in. They weren't going in. My dad had to go in outside. We were both outside trying to get these boots into these pistons, into the calipers. They weren't going in. Car were meant to be going and having its valve clearance done today. That had to be cancelled, and it's doing something tomorrow. So I'm knuckling down to get this done tonight. I eventually, with like a Dremel style tool that Francesca had, it's not a proper tool but it's got that kind of grindy end on it, get out as much as possible and grind it back as much as possible, and then proper lube it up and massage it to get it eventually in, and then try and hook it round the piston before the piston slides in. Then I couldn't physically put the piston in myself, so I had to take both calipers to my dad's work for him to put it in a vise for them to be pushed in. They're in. Front calipers are ready. They're on. Oh my god. 7 o'clock last night, pitch black nearly, tools everywhere, broken car, I were done. But we're finally at the bleeding stage and putting the fresh fluid in. Now my phone's fallen out of my pocket twice. The awesome news with that is that PBS's new brake fluid, which is the racing brake fluid, it's Pro Track I've got. I think they have Pro Race as well, but that's more for constant height. That's for race cars basically, and this is going to be driven on the road sometimes. But it's .4 600, same as the fluid that we've had in the past, but now we're going to have the PBS pads and the PBS fluid to match. Perfect combo. Massive thank you to them for sending me not only 1 but 3 out just in case. Yeah, I can't shout out to PBS enough. Awesome pads and awesome service. There you go. Now the tool I'm going to be using, since we're doing this on our own, is this. No, it's not a plastic briefcase. It's from ye old eBay, and it's basically a self-bleeding kit. So you've got this clamp, well, this like pump section here, variable hoses and fittings, and then this container that catches the fluid in there as you're pulling the air out as well. So I'll rig all this up, we'll pop the bonnet, pop some fluid in to make sure it's topped up, because as we do this it's going to pull the fluid through, start bleeding the brakes. Right, so my reservoir's topped right up now. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pump this about 10 to 15 times first to get some pressure. Yeah, so we've got some pressure in there, so I know that it's airtight. And then we're going to release that bleed nipple about between 1/4 and 1/2 turn. There must have been a lot of air in there because none's come out. And now we're going to pump until that fluid starts coming through. Keeping an eye on that top reservoir in case it needs filling up. I'm really sorry, but that kinda is the end of when I stopped filming on that day for that video, and I haven't filmed anything else since. What it was, that mechanism is useful for bleeding fresh brake fluid through, but it wasn't really being useful for putting fresh fluid in and drawing all of the air through. You needed pumping through. So in the evening my dad came over and I did the pumping inside the car, and he was opening and closing the bleed nipple until they were all bled through and all the new PBS fluid was into the system. It's been a few weeks since then, and it's absolutely fine. So that's that sorted and that job done. They're all on. I like the look of them. I'm happy with the job now it's done, and I'm happy that they're not faulty or dangerous anymore. I'm sorry that this video took absolutely ages to do, especially it being a 2-parter and it actually get finished, but I hated this job that much that the thought of editing it and watching it back, I hated the thought of even more, and I didn't enjoy editing either of these videos, unfortunately. It was something that needed doing, but I think because it took like 5 days and they added time on top of filming everything I was doing and explaining it, and it was just a tedious, difficult bugger of a job, but we got there in the end. That's the main thing. And like I said, the car is now safer to drive. Other reasons why this video has took ages, I've got a lot of other stuff going off as well outside of the channel. The spare bedroom's all like replastered, proper full back to brick replastered, ready for you don't know what it is yet, do you? Just quickly watch the gender reveal I did for my private Facebook. Go and have a look at it now. 5, 3, 2, 1. So yeah, it's a boy. We're having a boy, mate. So that has obviously took priority, as you'd expect. But things to look forward to. I'm doing a collaboration video with Max Cotton, who you'll probably know especially if you're into the drifting world. He's a professional drifter, and he's been in a few other videos that we've had as well. So we're doing a collaboration video, and it's not car related, but it's just as fun. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry, because it were a lot of fun. There's one more thing that needs to go on the car preparation wise, because now the car is booked in at Area Motorsport to get the full alignment sorted, ready for MIMS when we go on track at Croft, and then that'll be the car handling wise set, ready to go, buzzing. And my dad's coming with me, and I know how much you like seeing my dad in videos, so he's going to be a passenger. He hasn't even been in the car since the coilovers have gone on. Never mind it having a full setup. That's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun day. I can't wait to get back out in a car show. I'm going to be nervous, socially nervous, but it's going to be a good thing. So thank you for watching this video, and I hope you do enjoy any of my videos, even if they're really tedious and instructional like this one is, or a bit more exciting like some of the other videos that we've done. Please like and subscribe if you are enjoying the content, and click the little bell button so it reminds you when a fresh video does come on so you don't miss it. If you want, dash a little comment, let me know what car shows you're looking forward to, or meets, or places to go, roads to drive. Just, we're so close, we're so close. So until next time guys, like you always say, enjoy the rest of your day.